All right. The cognitive triangle. Who's familiar with the triangle? CBT triangle. Who thinks it's boring? It's not. It's really cool. So, you have a triangle.
They were teasing me.
Should be in your handouts. It looks like this. What I like to do with kiddos is give them color. Always brighten everything up. So, at this point, when we are starting or introducing the CBT triangle, they have already learned to normalize some of their symptoms with psychoeducation. They have learned to relax, to calm themselves down, talking about the uncomfortable. They've done the affect modulation. They've already learned how to identify some of those scribbles inside. So now they're ready to connect all of that together with the cognitive triangle. I like for them to just start practicing with really light things. What happened at school? What happened at home with brother? Anything that is pretty light to start to introduce and practice with them. This is where, and this one doesn't have it, but you'll see, did y'all get one of these? Okay, so in here is the event. What happened? That's really important because sometimes when kiddos are coming in, they may be identifying a trauma that's traumatic to them. Maybe we're thinking it should be a different trauma. I'll give you an example of that. Had a 16-year-old African-American female who came in, and it was due to sexual abuse from a teacher. That wasn't her trauma. I knew it was a trauma. It's going to be at some point. Mom knew it was. She sat there. I'm good. That was my boyfriend. Y'all broke us up. So was that a trauma for her? No. Could I go through all of this with her? No. Going through everything with her, found out the trauma was the loss of her bio father and her stepfather. So that's what we worked on. But identifying the middle, and you'll have that in here, of what happened, that's really important. And I explain that because what we think the trauma is may not be what they think the trauma is. And that's really important in identifying what that is because they're not ready to work on anything other than what they know. Did you have a question? No? Okay. All right, so the thoughts, the feelings, behaviors, they're all connected. And what I like to do is we'll do, I have an example of one, but I'll just think of one really quick. We did with the catch-up, okay? So we talked about the catch-up. And what was the event that happened? Dad died. So that was in the middle. What's your thought? What was that core belief attached to Dad's death with him? That I'm gonna die. So what are the feelings attached to that? Seeing red scares me. Scared. He did, right when he said frozen, mad, angry. So he identified all of those feelings because Dad died and his thought of I'm gonna die and I'm scared of the color red. I feel mad, confused, angry, and frozen. So because of that thought and because of those feelings, what were you doing? I couldn't move. I started crying. So he did all of the work putting his own triangle together. And what I like to say, okay, practice that. Say the event. What was the thought? What were the feelings? And because of those feelings, what did you do? So we practice that, and then we go, what will we do? What can I say? What will I think? And then what will I do? And together we work through whatever that is. So very, very helpful. I'm going to go over one here.
Ask a question on that triangle. So you go over the triangle on what actually having thought or behavior, and then you immediately come up with like a opposite triangle?
Not an opposite triangle, but just I will put on anywhere on the page, I will. And this is reframing that to a positive thought and helping them practice from now on, I will, and I will say and think. And it's not like that's going to happen overnight. This is all practice. But it's putting it in their terms. And I am not talking for them. They are giving me their ideas. And in this part, it's really important for them to come up with those feelings, for them to come up with what they will do and what they will say and think, because it's up to them to reframe that negative thought into something more positive. Yes, sir?
Is this do it once?
Oh, no.
You'll do that same situation again and again with them?
We may do that same situation, or we may do another one, and it's all practice. It's all learning, and sometimes they want to do the arrows. Wait, no, Miss Marcella, let me do the arrows. So I kind of make it fun for them, like you see the example. We'll just keep doing that. And there are so many worksheets out there. I know worksheets, a lot of people don't like them, but I really think that it works because not only are they talking about it, they're writing it, and in that movement, it's so therapeutic for them. But I am allowing them the space, and sometimes it takes long, and what I will do is I will say, or if it's on the whiteboard, I'm like, look, that's you. And they'll just look at it, like, yeah, that is me. Had a teenager, he was like, I almost walked out on you. It's like, why is that? Because I didn't want to see that. So well, that was you. Because I know. And as we were walking out of session, he just hugged me and he said, I never even thought about that, but you're right, that was me. I was really angry. I was ready to walk out. But it was him doing the work. And that's what we help do, is we give them that space to facilitate that own internalization of what they are doing and how they are stuck. And by the C, by the cognitive, helping them and going over some of these things, they already can learn how to self-regulate and they can identify those feelings. And that's why it's so important to go in that order, because they're not ready to get to a narrative without knowing how to self-regulate or identify feelings. They're nowhere ready for that. So we take our time and make sure that they have those tools. Any other questions?
Read what's in the tiny little boxes, pre-bill,
Yes, I will. So this is when this worksheet has, I can do this, I feel inadequate and embarrassed, and acting out as a function to avoid work. So those are things that they just named. So the top one is I can't do this. That's that core belief, that negative self-talk. The feelings, I feel inadequate. Inadequate and embarrassed were the feelings. And because my thought is I can't do this and I feel inadequate and I'm embarrassed, I'm acting out. So go, yes.
So what I feel is that you're going through, you guys go through that a process, like
Yes.
stages before they get through. Okay.
Yes.
So that's just paced depending on how the individual.
Depending on the individual and depending on the traumatic event. There are some kids that are ready to process this sooner. There are some kids that are not. And that's my job, is to understand where are you at. Okay, guess what? We need to go back to relaxation. Sure, let's do some meditation. Let's redo some breathing. Because that's my job, is to make sure that they're ready for that narrative and they have those tools. So here is one. You may not be able to see it, so I will read it. This was a 7-year-old Hispanic male who had been taken away from mom for neglect, some physical abuse. So this was further along, he'd been practicing this. So inside the event, inside that triangle, was not living with mom. What was that thought because I'm not living with mom, that I'm never going to see mom again. And because you're not living with mom, and your thought is, I'm never going to see mom again, he said it was scary, lonely, sad, angry, and frustrated. So not living with mom, you're thinking, I'm never going to see mom again. I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm angry. So now what are you doing? Not listening. I'm throwing chairs at school. I'm yelling at everybody. So I said, well, let's practice this. So he'll read it as the event, because I'm not living with mom. I think I'm never going to see my mom again. I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm angry. I'm not listening at school. I'm throwing chairs and I'm yelling. So give them that space. They look at it. Okay, what can we do? Let's look at the positive. What can I say or think? And what he said was being good to be back with mom. Now, how many times have we heard children say that? So this is a work in progress, of course, because he thought he had to be good to be back with mom. So he will say, I will be good to be back with mom, and I will see mom again. I said, okay, that's what we're going to work on. So this is real, and this is a kid, and this is his thought process. And by using that triangle, I was able to get what he was feeling inside and get it out, and it's tangible. He can see it. Any questions?
You obviously know this situation. If the situation is something bad, like more than just simple neglect, like a really bad criminal situation, and most likely he will not see mom, do you?
This was,
One of those?
but he wasn't ready for that.
You don't,
He wasn't ready for that.
okay,
So we started with this. This was a murder case,
okay.
and mom most likely will be in prison.
So you don't bother like correcting or trying to get him used to the fact he's not going to, maybe not.
He wasn't ready yet.
Okay.
But yes, that's the goal, is to accept the reality. And starting out slow, what I did with this is we got him to the point where he started feeling safe sharing that with me. And this can only help for when the big stuff comes. Because this is big, but it's not what he was dealing with. He was dealing with the separation from his entire family and everyone going everywhere. All right, so to finish the practice components, the trauma narrative. Again, like I said, the prac is so important because that gets them ready to when they are actually going to share that story of the event. This is when they're going to share, yes, this is when blank shot himself right in front of me. This is when I was shot. So in order for him to be comfortable in that narrative, I have to know that he's ready for that he knows how to relax, to calm himself down, to self-regulate. He knows how to identify those feelings he's feeling. He knows how to make those connections of what he was doing in order for his narrative. And when they are in the narrative, I am doing the writing and they are just talking. The in vivo part, helping them. This is basically, it's helping them say the things that they're not ready to say, and I will connect this all with what we do at the center in the conjoint sessions. This is helping the caregivers prepare for that narrative, because in this model, the kids or the teens, they are sharing that narrative with caregiver. And in that, they're making meaning together as a family. So I am helping the caregivers praise, throughout the narrative, because that's really difficult for them to get to that narrative part of what actually happened. What was that trauma? So how do I combine the 4 tasks of mourning and TF-CBT. Well, to me, this was a no-brainer because I thought, okay, accepting the reality of the loss, that's in vivo. That's me saying, yes, I understand that mom is dead. That's me saying the words that he's not ready to say until he's ready to say it. Processing the pain of the grief, that's identifying those emotions, that's affect modulation. Task 3, adjusting to a world without this person. All right, this is the cognitive coping. This is the triangle. This is connecting all those thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and how do I go ahead and live in this world? How do I go back to swimming? How do I go back to baseball? Again, finding enduring connection is task 4. That's honoring that person, memorializing that person, making meaning for me is what that is. And that is when they're trying to avoid certain things. Maybe I used to like to do something, and maybe I'm going to start doing that again. I'm not going to avoid that because I know that's triggering, because we've already hopefully worked through those triggers. And I'm not saying that they're not going to be triggered. Trauma therapists always know that there's those 5 stages of development where they're going to be triggered. Puberty, when they fall in love, when they get married, when they have their first child, and then when their child is their age, when the event happened to them. So hopefully by going through this treatment that they learn those tools to get them through all of those stages. Birthdays, anniversaries. That's my job, and that's our job at the center, to help them with that.